You are welcome to the Economy and Politics Conversation. I'm Ottoabasi Abasiekong. This edition will discuss addressing cybersecurity and the protection of Nigeria's capital markets. On the sidelines of the just concluded 2024 Cybersecurity Conference, organized by the Central Securities Clearing Systems Plc in collaboration with the Office of the National Security Advisor, I engaged Mr. Haruna Jalo Waziri on the sidelines, the Managing Director and Chief Executive of CSCS Plc, to share insights on why cybersecurity is a pillar for safe, secure, and sustainable Nigerian capital markets. We begin with his remarks at the event's opening session, where he made a case for why cybersecurity must be prioritized in an era of digital transformation. Watch excerpts.
According to the 2024 Cybersecurity Ventures report, cybercrime is projected to cost the global economy over $10.5 trillion this year. There has been a staggering rise from $3 trillion just a few years ago. And of course, this underscores the urgent need for robust cybersecurity measures, especially as we witness a 45% increase in ransomware attacks. That's a lot, 45% increase. Again, this is reported by Checkpoint Research, who tracks some of this data. Here in Nigeria, the landscape remains particularly challenging, we must all admit. Our businesses face an alarming average of 2,560 cyber attacks each week. Imagine, each week. That is what we know. As we acknowledge our position, particularly in Africa, we must work to improve our understanding of these threats. We must learn, decide, and act quickly and decisively, which is why, if you remember, I said, who turns off the light when you're being hacked? Cybersecurity is no longer just an IT issue. It's a national priority that affects our economic stability and public trust. As we increasingly rely on digital systems, like I mentioned earlier, protecting our critical infrastructure is paramount. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency has indicated that practical AI implementations can predict and prevent cyber threats as well before they materialize. As we are seeing with some of the UMTs that we have, they have AI now that are predicting certain things and help protect us, potentially saving organizations millions. As we consider these advancements, we must also recognize the intrusive impact of social media, which can amplify threats and misinformation, as we are seeing daily. This environment complicates our decision-making processes. So to make decision-making effectively, we must rely on trusted networks and create possible air gaps, which is what we're doing at the CSCS. We must create air gaps that shield our critical systems from emerging threats.
In my interaction with Mr. Haruna Jalo Waziri, I first raised a question on the impact of the 5th edition of the Cybersecurity Conference, which is in collaboration with the Office of the National Security Advisor, and its effect on strengthening cybersecurity in the country. Here is what he had to say.
As you know, over the last 6.5 years, we've built a significant capacity from a technology perspective. So, for example, things that we to do in 2 days, we'll not do in 1 hour. Things that we did in 1 hour, we'll not do it in 1 minute. Things that we did 1 minute, we did it instantly. And if you recall back in the day, the number of brokers that come to our offices just to do paperwork was incredible. Right now, nobody comes to our office. Now, within that context, you have to, as an institution, we have to be, in place to ensure that the community understands that as you automate, as you become more efficient, as you build systems that interconnect with everyone, one thing that we must have in mind is that we should bring that context of cybersecurity in our head. And as a market infrastructure who is interconnecting with everybody, we are as weak as our weakest link. And which is why we took the leadership and say, hey, community, come together. Let's sit down and talk about this thing. Even if you don't know it, come and learn from it. And bring in vendors who also do this, protection systems, and introduce them to the community and say, come, let's all together protect ourselves. And that's why we took this initiative to be doing this every year.
Considering the theme cybersecurity, synergizing AI and infrastructure, I asked the Managing Director of CSCS Plc how the leading central securities depository in the country is adopting new technologies like digital ledger technology, also known as blockchain, to achieve seamless clearing and trade settlements. Watch his response.
It's a funny thing. 5 years ago, everybody was talking about DLC. And to be specific about DLC, I've seen the ASX, which is the Australian Stock Exchange, spend I don't know how many billions of dollars, gone through 3 CEOs, and we don't have a working model, at least within the capital market. Now, I'm still waiting for how DLC would work effectively in the capital market from a stock exchange and clearing settlement perspective. We're yet to see. Now, have we done a POC? Yes, we've done a POC, but it's through announcements. Now, in terms of settlement and clearing, the CSCS has built enough robust systems for us to go to T+0, for example. We're at T+3, we're talking to the markets to move it to T+1, we're having some resistance to take it T+2. Left to me, we'll take it T+1 and then ultimately take it to T+0. Do we have the capacity to build the systems? Of course we have. We're waiting for the market to actually come and meet us on the way, or regulators to allow us to actually do this. Otherwise, the CSCS is ready.
With the adverse impact of cyber crimes, which according to Cybersecurities Ventures reports cost the global economy over $10.5 trillion annually, how is CSCS strengthening cybersecurity for a safe and secure capital market infrastructure?
We work with a lot of third parties. So, for example, we don't have a SOC. We had one internally, but we felt that the capacity and the ability to run it was a bit difficult. So we outsourced it to a third party. And then, of course, every time we are building, our architecture, our enterprise architecture, we bring in consultants who have done this work before now, who understand these systems, and say, take a look at our design. Does it fit or proper? Is it protected? How else can we make it better? And how do you monitor this infrastructure? What tools do we use to monitor them? And how often do we update these things? So all of these are driven by policy in our offices in terms of how these things are done. So, for example, we do a VAPT, I think almost every day within our internal capacity, and then we bring externals to come and do it on a periodic basis, randomly, and in some cases, so that we understand or we know that we are as vulnerable as our systems are. We are vulnerable as we monitor, because, as I always say, you don't know when you're hacked until you find out you're hacked. And so the idea is just keep protecting ourselves, keep improving, use third parties who actually know these things, and of course build internal capacity to be able to monitor these things ourselves. And that hopefully we should get us to where we are.
I asked about the readiness of the CSCS and the entire ecosystem regarding the need for Nigeria to evolve into a T+1 transaction and settlement market like the United States of America.
I can guarantee you CSCS invests significantly in technology. In fact, last time I looked at, I think something like 20-25% of our revenue is going to reinvestment in research and development, and also replacing infrastructure, building new things, and of course, have an army of coders to actually do middlewares for us to be able to do it. So trust me, there's a lot of investment going on within the context of CSCS in order to prove and protect the market. So let me tell you something very simple. I use that all the time as an analogy. I have a 23-year-old son now who is graduating from school, and he tells me that I'm not in your market because if I go to Amazon, if I buy it in the morning, it gets delivered in the afternoon, I pick it up in the afternoon. In the evening, I can change I can change the product, I can get my money back within a day. But in your own case, I buy something, I don't get it until 3 days. I sell it, I don't get it till 3 days. So it doesn't make sense. So you need to bring it forward. So if you want to bring in the younger generation into our markets, you have to change the settlement cycle. And then also it brings in liquidity, because people can move in and out and take decisions and go to multi-assets and be able to have flexibility about their money and their assets. That's the benefit. You're likely to increase order flow when we do that. And honestly, if the market is going, everybody is going there, then we cannot be behind, because then investors will not come to our market. So it's in our best interest.
Lastly, I asked how Nigeria is positioned in terms of robust cybersecurity legislations, regulations, and policy frameworks to achieve a secured capital market and economy at large.
Good question, because that's why we are partnering with the ONSA, because the policy and the law stays with them. And so in discussing with them, in having these conferences, and people coming to ask questions, this has also led them to go to ask us to come in 2 weeks' time to come and sit down and have a framework developed for the whole country in terms of what do we do around cybersecurity, how does incident reporting is done, which is what NGSAT is about. So we've seen quite a bit of that happening, and we're glad that they are driving that process in collaboration with us. We are the first company in Nigeria to be GDPR compliant. We're the first company in Nigeria to be NDPR compliant, and we have been compliant since those laws were there. I can guarantee you that at the CSCS, data protection is key. It is in the forefront of what we do every day. In our policies, in our systems, whatever we do, we are completely aware of that, and that is a priority for us all the time.
What an interesting conversation. But a significant takeaway from this is the need for a holistic approach in strengthening cybersecurity in the country. As Nigeria evolves with digital transformation and adoption of new technologies like artificial intelligence, there must be a nexus between innovation and security. In the words of the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Kashim Shettima GCON, cybersecurity is not just a technical issue, but a fundamental pillar for Nigeria's economic stability and growth. That will be all for this conversation. To our viewers, if you want to get further insights on this conversation, visit the ProShare website displayed on the screen and follow our social media platforms to engage further on this program. Until we come your way again, enrich yourself with knowledge of socio-economic developments around you. It is wise. I'm Ottoabasi Abasiekong. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.